One second. Okay, they tell me that we are live. Let me just double check. Yes, we're live. So welcome everybody. We're very grateful that a very distinguished group of educational leaders are joining us live from Brisbane in Queensland. And having worked with Independent Schools Queensland in the past and having had exchanges over the years, I can attest firsthand to the quality of their work and the wonderful, innovative initiatives that are taking place under the guise of the association. So, thanks for being here, and we're all yours. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the next Australian segment of the 24 Hours for Change in Education. We are broadcasting live from Brisbane in the Sunshine State of Queensland. My name is Angelina Chari, and it is my privilege to host this hour on behalf of Independent Schools Queensland. Speaking from the lands of the Jagera, Yagara and Turrbal peoples in Mianjin on the banks of the Maewa, we extend our sincere thanks to Gabriel Rashid for leading this global initiative and for providing us the opportunity to showcase achievements and innovations of the Queensland's independent school sector as we collectively celebrate educational transformation across the globe. Joining me today are our panelists, Nathaniel Edwards to my right, to my left, sorry, Principal of Radiant Life College, Amanda Watt, Executive Director of Queensland Independent Schools Parent Network. We've got Gary Cully, Principal of Parklands Christian College, and David Ferguson, Director of International and Accommodation Operations at John Paul International College. So welcome. Our Queensland Hour will highlight the powerful innovations shaping student well-being across our schools. We showcase the significance of choice and diversity within Queensland's independent school sector, our commitment to reconciliation and the incorporation of cultural competency in curriculum to support student well-being strategies. We also will explore the importance of parent engagement in student success, the critical care and well-being strategies in behaviour education, and pastoral care and support that extend beyond the classroom. So our segment will feature live and recorded contributions from our panelists, educators, students, and community leaders, culminating in a panel discussion to complete the hour. So these will reflect on and reinforce the importance of innovative strategies in student well-being for improved educational outcomes. We trust that you will find this hour informative, inspiring, and thought-provoking as we join with colleagues around the world to celebrate, inspire positive change in education. With that, we would like to start by sharing our acknowledgement to country and commitment to reconciliation, after which I would like to invite each of our panelists to introduce their respective innovative wellbeing strategies. Thank you.
My name is Chris Fountain, CEO of Independent Schools Queensland. I, Stu, and our staff are grateful to be based on the banks of the Maewa, the Yagara, Jagera, and Turrbal countries.
On behalf of ISU, we would like to pay our respect to the traditional owners of the land we live on today and their elders, past, present, and emerging. This respect is extended to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities of this continent and adjacent regions, recognising them as the oldest living culture in human history. We understand that the lands on which we meet, live, and work have always been places of teaching, knowledge sharing. As we all gather today, we acknowledge, celebrate, and support the contributions of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to education in this country, and recognise the important role we all play in supporting the ongoing journey of reconciliation through education.
At Independent Schools Queensland, we're committed to fostering First Nations perspectives both internally through our Reconciliation Action Plan and through the work we do with member schools. This support involves working closely with schools to ensure the best possible educational outcome for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, providing professional development opportunities for First Nations teachers, staff, and emerging leaders, and supporting all schools to embed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders into the curriculum. At Independent Schools Queensland, we will continue to work across the independent sector to for the journey of reconciliation through education.
Well, and you, hello. My name's Nathaniel Edwards. I am the current principal of Radiant Life College. Radiant Life College is a wonderful school located in far north Queensland. It's a regional school, and we're very proud of our school and its honour serving our school community. We're a Mathis school. We're a majority Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, and the importance of well-being and culture competency and connecting community with culture is paramount for the embedment of our school community, but also for the lives that we have been entrusted to change with education. So on that note, I'd like to introduce our Gundoi Wellbeing Program. Gundoi in our dialect means cassowary, and everything about the cassowary is something that the school holds dear to their hearts because it's a bird that nurtures, it's a bird that creates an environment. And we like to think of the Gundoi as us in some way, nurturing the next generation.
Good story. Well, in our language, Gundoi is cassowary. Why it's called Gundoi is because Gundoi, their seeds, they replenish the rainforests. That's what the school is doing, replenishing the next generation. The Gundoi story was birthed for a need, necessity for our people within the community. We found there were a lot that were disengaged, always on the fringe. We noticed that also within the schooling.
A lot of times, as Indigenous people, we're in the back of the bus. Sometimes in our heart, we say we like to stay at the bus.
And that's the difference. It was developed by our mob, for our mob, to serve our mob.
Look at it through our eyes.
Want to take the kids and submerge them into their culture. Want to know what these stories are, feel it connected with the country. That's what Joy allows us to do.
Wednesdays is our deadly days, we call it. Every class gets an hour session each, and we learn language, we do push tapa, we do dancing, the arts, everything based around our language here.
The Gundor range have played a key part in one. They've allowed the theoretical knowledge we learn in the classroom to become more experienced and practical outside the classroom.
G'day, my name's Victor Chassel. I'm from the Woodbury Country in Israel. I'm a Woodbury Ranger.
For the Gundor Junior Ranger program, it overlooks 4 categories. One is saltwater, freshwater, country on land-based stuff, and then our reef catchments. It's also the social, emotional, spiritual, cultural elements. I feel like every time when I dance and I pull my laptop on, I paint myself up. Our ancestors did this every day. Nothing brings me greater joy than to be able to show people the Aboriginal culture.
The kids that walk out of here, they walk out knowing who they are. Oh man, I'm excited because if they can be doctors, they can be lawyers, they can be whatever they set their minds on.
What I see is safety, the environment of safety, the environment of love, the environment of beauty, the environment of peace.
Being on country, you're connected. There's something here that tells you your mom has been here for thousands of years. There's something running through this ground.
We want the world to know you can live in harmony, like the cassowary.
Gundoi in the future, I would love Gundoi to be the benchmark for our people to break this cycle. Poverty, unemployment. I want it to be the structure that will deliver these outcomes that everyone is trying to reach. I think Gundoi can do it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda from the Queensland Independent Schools Parents Network, which is the peak body for families who choose independent schooling in Queensland. Parent engagement is schools and families working together in partnership and respecting each other's unique roles in a child's learning and wellbeing. Parent engagement is also regarded as a fundamental component in high-performing schools, and it's backed by more than 60 years of international research. Governments and policymakers and researchers tell schools all the time that they need to be prioritising parent engagement, but who is helping schools translate the research into practical implementation? In the Queensland independent school sector, we are. We run a flagship program called Mastering Parent Engagement, and that scaffolds schools to unpack the research and make small tweaks to their existing practice to bring parents closer to their child's learning and wellbeing. 40 schools have graduated from the program over the last 2 years, and next year we'll be welcoming 29 schools, which gives an indication of the interest that schools have in this work. In this video that we'll play next, you'll hear from school leaders and parents about the impact this program is having and the wellbeing payoffs for all involved.
Being here today at collaborative approach to parent engagement and sharing policy have a positive impact the way in which we work with our parents within schools.
The Mastering Parent Engagement program has been a surprise for me. Without it, there is no way we would have built stronger relationships with a core of parents who I know are already going out there and spreading the word.
I was talking to people from other schools who were 2 or 3 years down the path, and the insight that they had was incredible. Just hearing stories of experiences, what worked, what didn't work, collaboration of ideas was fantastic. It's really helpful.
Been fabulous. A deepening of the understanding which has come from parent to school and school to parent. And some of the outcomes have been actually very easy to do.
So it's actually enabled us to see the deeper level, school and parent working together for the benefit and success of the child.
As a parent, being involved in the masterclasses, the message that they're bringing to the market, the way they're bringing the community together, the access to resources is really important for more parents to know about, because support is there. This is challenging, this is tricky, but we're not alone.
It really strengthens that partnership between the school, the staff, and the students, and enables us to get the best possible learning outcome for our kids within our schools.
They've been really intentional about progressing us to a point where we can go, okay, what's the strategy look like? It's actually about thinking differently about how much and what you give to parents to help them when they're at home supporting their young person. This has long-term benefits. That's what I can see down the track. I can already see the flowers starting to bloom.
We've built out of the masterclass something which is low key, absolutely has that authentic face-to-face engagement. So my report card is that it's working in a very quiet but very powerful way.
Good morning, my name's Gary Cully and I'm the principal of Parklands Christian College in Logan City. Today we want to introduce the concept of the Parklands way of responsible thinking process. And our video for you this morning is a snapshot of what our community thinks of the process and how it works in our school. Generally, it's accepted and pretty much appreciated, although we do have our critics. And in any complex environment like a school, it's about listening and relationships and navigating those things well, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, with a range of different staff that support students. The responsible thinking process really is something central to our school that we're all very excited about and passionate about, but it takes a lot of work and deliberate care to keep it going. So please enjoy the video. Welcome to Parklands Christian College. I'm Gary Cully, the principal of this great college, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the responsible thinking process here at Parklands. Parklands is a vibrant school community of approximately 1,200 students, spanning from early learning through to year 12. We first implemented the responsible thinking classroom in 2006, a simple withdrawal space where students could pause, reflect on their behaviour choices. Since that time, our responsible thinking classrooms have become hubs where students can plan, reflect, and strategise about their behaviour and well-being. These spaces now serve as a safe, supportive environment where students can learn to manage emotions, regulate their responses, and build the skills they need to thrive both inside and outside of the classroom. Our two responsible thinking classrooms are staffed with a mixture of social workers, youth workers, who are in turn supported by heads of school and heads of year. This strong team ensures that students not only receive guidance in behaviour education, but also have access to caring adults who can provide practical wellbeing, support, mentoring, and encouragement. The responsible thinking process is not simply about correcting behaviour, it's about nurturing the whole child. It provides a framework for building character, strengthening resilience, and supporting mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
At Parklands Christian College, we believe every student is created in the image of God and has the capacity to thrive and flourish. Our responsible thinking classroom and learning enrichment teams work collaboratively to nurture the holistic well-being of each student, academically, socially, emotionally, and spiritually. We recognise that behaviour is a form of communication, often expressing underlying needs or challenges that are not immediately visible. We approach each student with empathy, embracing neurodiversity, understanding the individualised needs of our students, and employ a commitment to growth across their educational journey, often spanning 13 years. As we often support families to the road to formalised diagnosis or in the process of assessment, we are intentional in liaising with the support staff, teachers, the student, and their family, seeing and valuing the whole student rather than focusing solely on their challenges.
Our day in the RTC might include a myriad of interactions, including students struggling with separation anxiety in the mornings, students completing RTC reflection plans because of their behaviour choices, meeting with parents and provide support, and individual casework. Because it is a whole school approach, we teach the same concepts all the way through from prep to year 12 and are now including it in our early learning centre. The holistic culture of care that we offer our Parklands community allows students to develop in resilience, emotional intelligence, and character, engaging meaningfully in their learning journey as they live out their God-given potential.
RTC gives us a chance to fix and learn from our mistakes, and I know that it's a safe place to be if I have any questions or concerns. It can help us with friendship issues, and I've learned that it's okay to make mistakes, but we need to try and do better next time, and try not to make a mistake again.
I think that RTC is important as it provides a welcoming environment to all students, whether it be from prep to 12. It was a place where there was no judgment. It was just a positive and welcoming environment.
My son is a student here at Parklands Christian College. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the outstanding work of the Responsible Thinking Classroom and the Learning Enrichment departments at our college. Their commitment to supporting students with understanding, compassion, and professionalism has had an extraordinary impact on my son's educational journey. They've recognised his individual strength, guided him through challenges, and helped him develop the confidence to achieve his full potential. What truly distinguishes these departments is their holistic approach. They not only focus on academic progress, but also on nurturing emotional well-being and personal growth. Each student is seen, valued, and encouraged to flourish in their own unique way. As a parent, it's been deeply rewarding to witness the positive growth in my son. His renewed confidence, motivation, and sense of belonging within the school community is extraordinary.
Good morning. My name is David Ferguson. I'm the Director of International and Accommodation Operations. I have the privilege of serving at a school called John Paul College in Logan City, just south of Brisbane. The video you're about to see and the conversation I'll be contributing to is from an international student perspective. So our school in 1997 welcomed the first international students to the college by founding John Paul International College, which set up the intention for the school to provide pathways for students from all over the world to improve their English language and cultural knowledge of Australia to integrate into Australian schools. And a key part of that to complement the pathways that we set up to support that English development was accommodation options. So we have boarding accommodations, the dormitories, and homestay accommodation as well. And so when we talk about well-being, belonging, and student success, it's really, really important for those students coming from around the world to feel like they're part of a wonderful school in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. We established a program called the Extended Day Program last year as part of the Homestay program to deliver the next phase of support for students who are living away from home and away from their parents. We basically thought, how can we do better in this space to be around our students and to hear how we can best support them. So we'll show you the video that we have about our extended day program, and I look forward to talking more about it later on.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the fantastic lineup of videos that we've showcased how well our schools and our parent network actually organises and delivers wellbeing strategies for our students. Now, moving on to our panel discussion, today is also World Children's Day, which is a global day of action for children, celebrating their rights, amplifying their voices, and advancing their wellbeing. And what better way to honour this day than by coming together for a conversation centred on the powerful innovations shaping student wellbeing across our independent schools in Queensland. So I'll start off with you, Nathaniel. What opportunities has the Gundoy program opened for the students beyond wellbeing? And how do you link those back to your whole school wellbeing goals?
Oh, excellent question. Gundo is more than just a program. It's tangible, there's substance behind it. It was created in a co-design with traditional elders from Juruba Bagabara. And what this program has allowed us to achieve, just not only as a school, but a community as a whole, is allow the kids to see themselves as who they are on a global scale. It's opened up opportunities for First Nation children to go overseas. It gives them a platform to share their culture, instill a sense of pride, but also an understanding that there's no shame about who they are. And that's the greatest gift we can give a child that's confident knowing who they are. And the program has allowed that through various key partners. Just to name a few, last week we were in Auckland and we had a wonderful time at Google. Google has come on the journey with us and they always open their doors for our First Nation students. Sendai in Japan was a wonderful place and they got to share the works of the programs they do on country. And so the opportunity to us is endless. And I say that, and I always play with this idea. We're in the business of maintaining dreams as a school. We're there to nurture children to be optimistic, to know there's no boundaries, because fearless children grow into confident adults. And that's what the program has allowed us.
Fantastic. How does the Gundoi program engage families, carers, and community members, particularly Indigenous elders, in supporting student wellbeing?
Well, we're very fortunate. The Gundoi program was created as a necessity. It's become an anchor. And with that, the key word is co-design. It's how we as a school engage respectfully, culturally, and appropriate with the elders and building the trust and understanding two-way learning. It's a reciprocal relationship and creating an environment where our Indigenous community feels they can come to express. There's no right or wrong discussions. We're on a journey to learn. And I think in having that mutual respect has allowed us to engage respectfully and maintain that engagement, which is very important for our school.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Moving on to Amanda. Schools often talk about parent involvement and parent engagement interchangeably. In terms of well-being, what is the difference and why does engagement matter more?
So the difference between involvement and engagement is where we always start with the schools that we work with. And that's often the big light bulb moment for schools is when they realise the really important difference between involving parents and engaging them. So the simplest way that you can explain the difference is involvement is schools doing to parents, engagement is doing with parents and partnering with parents and respecting, as I said in that intro, the unique and very different roles that both educator and family play in the outcomes for children, whether that's learning outcomes or wellbeing outcomes. The importance of getting that stuff right is that the student, who is the benefit of parent engagement done effectively and sustainably, knows that the two most important people in their life at that time, or the most important structures in their life at that time, which is their home, their family, and their educators. They're the two areas that they're marinating in. Both of those important people respect each other and are communicating well and want the same thing for the child, which is for the child to thrive. So if we can get this work right in schools, it benefits everyone. It benefits educators, it benefits families, and it benefits ultimately the kids, which is what we're doing this for.
Wonderful. Parent engagement is often framed around students, but it also impacts staff wellbeing. So in your experience, how can strong family-school partnerships reduce stress, workload, and emotional load for teachers?
So that's an area of the research that needs to be researched more, and I think we'll see more tangible, evidence of that impact. So I can only talk anecdotally with the schools that we work in, and we know that wellbeing benefits for staff are huge from this work. So teachers, generally speaking, are sceptical about parent engagement. They fear that it's parents standing at the back of a classroom with their arms crossed, assessing how a lesson's going. But when they realise it is small tweaks to an email, small tweaks to the way they interact with a parent the first time they meet with them, And it's all about bringing the parent closer to what's going on for the child in terms of learning and wellbeing. And they see that when they do those small tweaks, first of all, how easy it is, then the impact it has on the parent, and the impact it has in a positive way on the way that both parties are communicating with each other. Suddenly it feels good, and they want to keep doing more of it. And so you can imagine if a relationship goes from one of fear and conflict because it's not set up well for success, and then it goes to, hey, we're on the same team and we actually like each other and we've got a huge thing in common, which is we want this kid to thrive. That's naturally, I think, going to feel good for everyone involved, especially the teacher. And I think when workplace issues for teachers, I think worldwide, are a big issue at the moment. I think this can be a solution to some of that, but it requires educators and schools to work on it, and it requires families to work on it as well. So it's not all on the school and it's not all on the family. We've got an equal responsibility in this piece.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Moving on to Gary. I love the Parklands Way. What advice would you give to other schools considering implementation of a responsible thinking process in the classroom? And what are some of those key practical challenges and key success factors?
I think you need to consider carefully if this is the type of model that you want. I think that it's staff intensive. It's a big portion of a budget as well. You're talking about in our school about 4 staff plus, and so you're talking in excess of $300,000 worth of investment every year in a program like this, as well as facilities and all of the other stuff that involve the care of students. I think though that once you've determined that that's what you want to do, and that's the way that you want to go, and you want to have these hubs and these programs and these spaces, and the types of staff that it requires, then you're all in, and there's no other option in your community but to go all in. And so that requires then countless hours of training and reinforcing the why behind what we do. And it's the why that sells it. I think over the years we've learned that training in process is one thing, but capturing the hearts of the staff about the why behind it, that's where success comes. And that's a yearly job, and it's reinforced all the time. I think too, the students need to understand the why about it as well. And they need to actually be passionate about their right to be able to sit in a classroom without disruption and learn. And if students are going to be disruptive, then they go somewhere to think about that behaviour and to negotiate their way back into the classroom. It goes beyond that, right? Because it's so complex. Behaviour is complex. Why do students disrupt? That takes a bit of exploring, takes some expertise, and it takes us community to be able to get around that student to support them. I also think too that it's a commitment to parents that we make as well, because they will hold you to account and making sure that you are actually caring for your students the way that you've said that you're going to. And so that means that they need to be constantly informed about how their student is going, specifically those students who join the frequent flyer program in our behaviour program, and working with them. And as we know that, there's probably, you spend 90% of your time on a very small percentage of some of your students. And that's okay. And that's the way that it works. And so we invest in that. I think also to the wider community in general. If you come to Parklands and this is the way that we do behaviour, and we love doing it this way, and we're passionate about it or excited about it, and get on board with us, that's when there's true success. And so I think that yes, it can be expensive and staff intensive, and some of that budget can be offset by your SWD funding as well. So it's not all on the parents to pay. But I think that, you decide this is the way we're going to go, you train for it, you reinforce it, and it's a never-ending cycle of selling the why behind it as well.
Fantastic. From your leadership perspective, how has this impacted teacher wellbeing, productivity, and instructional time?
I think what I really like about this program is that not all the time, but most cases, it actually takes the emotion and the emotiveness out of the interaction with the student. So we talk about, behaviors that we see, the swinging on the chairs, the talking while the teacher's talking, those type of things that really annoy staff, right? But we're looking actually beyond those behaviors to the why. Why is the child doing that? And that can't be explored in the moment when you've had the behavior up to here in the classroom. And so that needs to be explored with a group of other people to help you discuss and discover and then develop strategies for the classroom and how that student can manage themselves, how the teacher can develop strategies to help that child with that as well as working in, sort of hand in glove with our learning enrichment department as well, who can then come in and help with funding, help with exploring other strategies and care. And so I think that, it's really helps staff to space that emotive reaction. And I think it helps them to go through a process that is clear and understood about how they manage their classroom. And it gives us also a common language about how we describe behaviour and how we describe student behaviour in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, bringing in an international perspective, David, what early signs or data points have you used to understand the impact of the extended day program for wellbeing?
Thank you. This is a really important part, but I'd just like to make a comment from the previous two speakers about the engagement of parents and that partnership with the school is really important. And that is equally important for parents who are in a different country, who speak a different language. If you're a school that is enrolling actively international students from other countries, you must have the resources and desire to engage genuinely with parents. Engaging with parents overseas as well is really, really important. So some rationale of the extended day program, just in context, some of you might be familiar with homestay programs where students are living with host families and then come to school during the day. These students could be in year 7, year 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all across the school, and you actually don't see them together as a cohort at one point. And so that was creating some pain points, but also I wanted more visibility on the students to be able to support. And so we created this extended day program as a quasi program between boarding, where it's very structured, and homestay, where there's a little bit more freedom in the routine, by creating this midpoint. And the great opportunity of having students all in the room, and there's a term from the boarding world of thoughtful eavesdropping, just listening to the conversations that students are having in an organic way. You can see where they're at, the stresses of the term with their exams, friendship issues, or other things that might be going on that you can then, not at the time, but that you can then follow up on or divert your counsellors to have those extra conversations with. And it's our second year in doing that program, and it's very much about being beyond the classroom. So once again, we have the responsibility to look after these students 24/7 because they're away from their families. The data points that we've used to look at this are parent surveys from overseas, the student surveys, homestay family surveys, and also our education agent surveys as well. And one of the key indicators of success is that the demand for this program outstrips the supply that we have for it. It's incredibly popular, and it shows our commitment, and an expensive commitment, I might add, but something very important to the welfare of these students beyond 3:20 in the afternoon. And that impact has enabled them to have equal access to the services that the school offers, whether that's co-curricular, whether that's tutoring, whether that's we have dinner with them in the evening, whether that's food. So how can we get our international students to have that equal access as an Australian student? And this is the impact that it's essentially had.
Great. That's fantastic. And just a bit building on that a little bit more, what sort of changes have you noticed in the students' sense of belonging or connectedness as a result of that extended day program? And also bringing in, obviously, it's not just the international students that are part of this program. There's also domestic students that are there. What's that integration like? And in terms of, that global competency piece, how does that program actually nurture that?
Yeah, it's just on that second point there, it's a great a bit more of a casual opportunity for students from different cultures, Australia or Southeast Asia or wherever it might be in the world, to engage and talk in student-based language ways around their culture and sharing that, which is lovely to see. In terms of isolation and students being disengaged, the program removes a few barriers for students to engage more easily in co-curricular opportunities. So we all know parents are an incredibly important part of co-curricular opportunities because they're the taxi drivers for students after hours, right? If your parents don't live here and you're with a host family, they may or may not be as available to do that. So part of this program is we have school buses to drop them off at 6 p.m. door to door. And so they can more easily engage in the plethora of opportunities at the school, whether it's tennis, rugby, or performing arts. So removing barriers for them to be engaged because they're here learning in a second language, they're here in a different culture. It's not as easy for them to engage with the offerings of the school. So they do need that helping hand, and that has been really quite successful. The tutoring as well. So I always say the success of a student and the belonging and the academic success, it's not one and then the other. The two are intertwined. You can often need to be academically successful to feel a sense of belonging as well. It's kind of like a joined thing. So the tutoring that we offer them as well has helped them be successful in their academic journey, and then feel like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. I am successful. I'm engaging in the co-curricular. I'm now part of this school community, and I feel like I belong here.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you. Very quickly, and I know we've got a bit more time, so I'm going to ask a couple more questions on the cuff, though. All very good questions, so don't worry. Nathaniel, I wanted to know about, cultural across cultural borders. So I know that you recently took a group as part of your Gundoi program to New Zealand, to a Māori school. What was that engagement like? What were some of the key learnings from that cross-cultural interaction?
I think the key learnings, the highlight was the students started to see connections with other cultures. We do this. Oh, for Maori, kai, which is food. For us, in our dialect, kai kai, which comes from the islands, that's food. So they started to build similarities, which allowed them to engage further. They were able to do two-way culture shares with receiving a wonderful welcome at the marae, and also then showing their traditional dances. And it was just beautiful to watch how they started to connect and share. So with that, it gave them the opportunity to move from a student to a teacher seamlessly, and opening their eyes to the possibilities of an opportunity moving forward. And I like to share my culture further. I like to probably explore the opportunities of working with higher education. So you start to plant those seeds, and our motto is seeds of destiny. So it's how we germinate those seeds. And this is how those cross-culture experiences assist in that area.
Wonderful. Keeping with the cultural theme, Amanda, in terms of your parent engagement, is there anything that you're doing in terms of cultural engagement piece? Is there a cultural piece?
There will be.
There will
time.
be. Wonderful.
At the moment, we're really perfecting the delivery of this program. So I think other elements will come in time.
Which is your mastering program that you're
Yes,
talking
correct.
about. Yes.
I guess the important thing with parent engagement is that schools have to do the work themselves, and they have to take the research and the support and the advice that we give them, but put that in their own context and make the decision for themselves. So if the way that Nathaniel would do parent engagement would be very different to the other two gentlemen on the panel,
Yes.
because their communities are vastly different, and you will know your communities intimately. You could describe what your community feels and looks like. So it's the principal and the school leadership team that have to decide if there's a cultural element to it or not. They're the experts in their community. We're just there to translate the research and make suggestions. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Gary, in terms of your the responsible theory in classrooms, how do you juggle, or how do you find a balance between discipline and that restorative justice side of things for students?
Yeah, and it's a tricky balance sometimes as well, because there has to be, I guess, a consequence for repeated disruptive behaviour versus a process that, again, particularly with our frequent flyers, those people that constantly need a visit, a debrief, and so. I think it is a careful balance, but it's individually determined. And so as the child comes with their needs, that's when we assess how many times a day does this child have to, to visit. And sometimes that can be, 10 times a day for that child. Whereas if another child did that, that would be out of the ordinary, and we'd have to reassess our plans and what was going on. It would probably tell us a bit of a different picture there. And so it's a tricky challenge. I think they also have to be age appropriate as well. And so, what it looks like in our primary school is very different to what it looks like with our 17 and 18-year-olds at the other end. And the issues that they deal with in secondary are very different to the primary school ones as well. And so you often find in primary school, and to some degree middle school, a lot of discussions and group collaboration happening. Whereas I think by the time they get to big people, big problems, complex problems. And so it's a very different conversation that you're having. But I think that it's always a balance, but I think it has to be individually assessed. And that's the key with this process, and any good process in any school, is that, what does it require to have good relationship with that child? Because that is going to see success for the child. Relationship crosses all of the boundaries and allows you to speak into lives and covers a multitude of sins along the way. And so even when we go on our camping strategies, or when we go and visit Radiant Life once a year with our group of senior school students, they're all strategies to develop relationship, and that you might have to call on that bank of relationship later on, and it allows you to be able to do that. And so it's a balance that's the very short answer.
No, it's a great answer. Thank you. David, with regards to your extended program, how do you engage with the homestay families? Because they are an integral part of a student, at your school when they're in homestay as well. What are their contributions as part of this extended day program that you have?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's changed a little bit over, say, the last 10 years. It's probably a little bit superficial just to say they play the role of a parent. Fundamentally, that's this kind of service that they're providing, but with legislation change, and we've got the child safe standards in Queensland and things like this, the role that they're offering is quite complex, and that's something really for the school to navigate and to help our homestay families achieve in that space. And so, for example, yesterday we do our homestay annual training, where we get everyone together. We have a cup of tea and a chat, and then we have a formal presentation around, okay, well, these are the changes. What's your feedback for the year? What's happened? And just recommitting our kind of vision and philosophy towards a program that's sense of belonging, but also doing things such as child protection and all of those really, really important pieces to make sure that these students, once again, who have English as a second language, have that extra helping hand if they are feeling uncomfortable, and they know what to do.
Great. Wonderful. Now, let's finish off with a rapid fire round. Each of you will get 90 seconds to actually respond to this. So on the clock. Now, how do you see the role of wellbeing evolving over the next 5 years? And how do we ensure that wellbeing efforts remain student-driven rather than system-driven? And we'll start with you, David.
Oh. I'm down this.
Change the order a bit.
Okay, rapid fire.
Yes.
A lot of schools have been engaging a great practitioner in space called, hopefully I get her name right, Judith Locke,
Yes.
around the resilience of students and not making a little bonsai child out of them. I would lean into that. We want to build strong, resilient, independent children. And in a world when it's so easy to contact them via phone, so easy to make sure that, they're no longer than your arms, length away or digitally contactable. We need them to have the opportunity to be children, and that in turn will help them develop their well-being and their place. I think we've got to backtrack on some of the things that we've done so far and allow kids to be kids, and for them to create that safe environment, but allow them to explore within those boundaries.
Great. Amanda.
Changing up. I think well-being
Hi, Jeev Goler, Fáilte go Héireann ar an lá speisialta seo.
Parents are wanting schools to help them with that piece. Sometimes that goes too far and parents expect that schools to do the whole thing. It's like anything, I think this is definitely a partnership piece, but perhaps the school does need to lead that and scaffold parents in how they can support what's going on at school, whether it's online safety or it's confidence or resilience. Yes, I think it's booming and it's going to continue to boom, I guess would be the answer. And that can only be a good thing for our kids.
Wonderful. Gary, 90 seconds.
Yeah, look, I think that wellbeing space is complex, and I think there's actually real pressure on schools and therefore government to respond by having the staff available to care for these kids, to care for all of our students in this way. And so we're not just employing teachers anymore or auxiliary staff or whatever. We're now in the realms of psychologists, of social workers, and they are equally important in schools. And so there is a part for government to play in that, in providing the funds and acknowledging that that is part of the staffing journey of a school. It's also, though, for schools to go, you know what, regardless of what funding is coming, this is important and we need to respond, and resolving to act in that space.
Great. And Nathaniel?
What's my question?
90 seconds. The same question?
Same question. 90 seconds. Look, what everyone else just spoke about, just add an extra layer when I'm catering for First Nation students. The complexity, we're dealing with the minority group. We have children that are from low socioeconomic backgrounds. My bus runs, I have 4 buses, they change fluently. Every day, every moment, a child can be in one bed for one night and spend 3 nights somewhere else. So when I'm talking about well-being, I'm putting on my Indigenous lens and seeing how do we navigate that in a space that is so overregulated and so scrutinized when you are catering for First Nation students. It's how you balance that and how you ensure that the student knows there's still a safe cultural place to be heard.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. So now to conclude this segment, what we've seen and heard in this hour reinforces that student wellbeing is not one program or one role. It is a culture. So it is a commitment to walking alongside students, families, and communities with empathy, expertise, and purpose. So thank you to our panel for such thoughtful, grounded, and inspiring insights, as well as the work you carry forward every day. It is a really powerful sensation to be part of something global. So to you, our audience, we hope you found this Australian Hour informative, interesting, and stimulating. So that is a wrap. Over to you, Gabriel.
Thank you very much. A great pleasure. We're very, very grateful for all that you've shared with us and the great work that you're doing. We hope to expand the reach of these wonderful initiatives in as much as we can. The video will be published in a few minutes on the channel and in a couple of days on the website. So thank you very much. And let's continue trying to change education in different parts of the world. Thank you.